Well, now we're on to the fifth video in the Friday the 13th characters ranked video. Imagine how many fucking videos of this there'd be if I included the show. But I still have to finish the show, so can't exactly do that. But I just want to take a moment to shout out how great the main trio in that show is. Anywho, at 86 we have Eddie from the fifth movie, who's the douchebag guy that steals Tommy's masks and tosses it at him, and then gets a belt to his eyes. And he has the best kill in that movie. Him and Tina. Tina was the last placement on the last video, and he's the first on this one, so they're right next to each other. Their whole characters are that they're just horny all the time, and they fuck in public, and they're exhibitionists, and apparently that puts them in a halfway house with other people. And, you know, that whole thing. They're not the most memorable characters, but they're fun for the moments they're on screen, because their whole thing is that they fuck. And it's kind of funny that the editing makes it to where he's a one-pump chump. At 85, we have Robin from the fifth movie. She's stabbed through the bunk bed. She's the one that laughs at Jake when he asks. He's like, I want to make love with you. And she just starts laughing. And it's classic. I mean, anyway, my phone cut out there, so I don't have a lot of footage space left, so probably not going to get through this whole video. But up next, at 84, we have our first killer on the list. Well, I mean, second if we're including Vic from the fifth movie, but at 84, we have Roy Burns. Roy Burns is the killer in the fifth movie, for the most part, besides Vic in the beginning, and Jason in the dream sequence at the beginning. But I like the way he's portrayed in The Mask, but the way he's acts out of the mask is really goofy and obvious and cheesy. And it kind of balances itself out around here. He's only in one movie, so he doesn't have as much time to shine as Jason. He's not as iconic as Mrs. Voorhees, and he ain't got shit on Freddy, so this is where he lands. And none of the other killers are even in this video's section. So, yeah. At 83, we got Pam, who's the final girl in the fifth movie. And 82 is Matt, the guy that works as her boss in the fifth movie. They run the halfway house, and they seem nice. They care about the people in the halfway house, and they're kind of half raising Reggie with his grandpa. So they're nice. Pam has a lot more screen time in character, but is also not as enjoyable as Matt. At 81, we have Julius, and Julius is the boxer that punches Jason and then gets his head knocked off. And he is one of the best characters in Jason Takes Manhattan. He's the guy that starts the crew to go fight Jason. It's awesome. He lasts like him and Steven from the Jason Goes to Hell, who has not come up on this list yet. Both have like the longest fights with Jason. Julius is pretty fucking awesome. But at number 80, and this is the last character from the 8th movie to be on the list, and that's JJ, the guitar wailin' queen, who gets her fucking head smashed with guitar. The last character from the 8th movie is the first of the lasts. And the last character, aka the best character in the 8th movie, came up before the first character to be listed, aka the worst character in the second movie. So, I don't know, take with that what you will. 79, we got George, which is Reggie the Reckless's grandpa. He's a lot of what I said for Pam and Matt goes for him too. He seems a lot sweeter though. Yeah, he just seems like a nice old dude. 78, we got Hawes, the guy that broke out of the Institute with Tommy to go burn Jason's remains. And, you know, he seems ride or die. And he has some pretty funny lines, especially "My heart can't take any more of this." and all of that fun stuff. 77 is a Jason Goes to Hell character, Randy. He gets possessed by Jason, and he is my least favorite performance of Jason because he speaks. But this has nothing to do with the placement, because that's Jason and not Randy. You know what I mean? So Randy, he just seems like a nice guy who's friends with, like, he's a cop, but he's friends with Steven, and like they have these fun shenanigans. You can tell they've known each other for a long time, and it's pretty fun. 76 is Ward, who is also seems like he's friends with all the characters. They just seem like they're all this tight knit group in the small town, and fucking, like, I like the scene when he finds Steven, who's just meeting his baby, and then he gives Steven the car keys so he can get out of town. Like, it's just nice moments. 75 is Shelby, who is that's Ward's dad, and Joey B, her husband, and yeah, because he's called like Pookie in the movie, but his name is Shelby apparently. So yeah, goes right in line with all those other guys. I think it's the scene where he like takes the gun and is like, and it's like that was funny. A lot of great moments with that subgroup of people. But that's the last of them for a minute. Okay, at 74 we have Steve, who's from the first movie, and that would be Steve Christie, the guy with the mustache and the gets stabbed in the gut. He owns Camp Crystal Lake because his parents did. He's reopening it knowing the history. But he seems like he's a nice, fun, chill dude who's like, he's very down to business with his people he hired, but he's still gonna like try to help them figure their own shit out, and like, you know, like he's like, if it's weird that he has this thing with Alice, but I don't know, it doesn't really seem to be that big of a deal. It's a whole thing, but the whole point is Steve is a memorable character, but he's not higher than that. And up next is Rick from Part 3, who seems way older than the other people he's hanging out with. But, you know, he seems chill. He gets pretty annoyed at his window, but that's understandable, and then gets his head crushed. So, I don't know. And number 72 is our first character introduced in the second movie to come up on this list, and that's Scott. And he gets hung upside down and his throat slit with a machete because he's a perv, and he steals Terry's clothes while she's swimming, and fucking he has this whole dancing with a dog scene. Like, the second movie's characters are iconic, but this guy is definitely the worst of them. At 71 is Winslow, the cop from the second movie. He's pretty funny. And I like the scene where he's like, "You're not even gonna reprimand them?" And Paul's like, "No seconds on dessert for fucking no seconds on dessert for Sandra and Jeff tonight." Love it. Number 70 is Sissy, who is the chick in the sixth movie that gets her head spun all the way around. The Friday the 13th six characters that are just there as counselors, there's 3 of them. They're all right in the same area. So we got Sissy here. 69 is Paula, the other girl, who gets the blood splatter room. And 68 is Court, who gets the knife rammed in his skull. Court's the funniest, but they all seem to actually genuinely be good at being counselors and giving a shit about the kids, especially the girls, but Court's funnier. Yeah. Up next at 67, we got Diana, and that would be Jason's half-sister. She's Jessica's mother in Jason Goes to Hell. Yeah, no. She seems pretty chill, very well put together, knowledgeable, but doesn't have as much screen time because she dies so early. And then her corpse gets violated by the demon hellspawn version of her brother. What am I doing with my life? Number 66, we have Laurie, and at 65 is Will. These are the final survivors of Freddy vs. Jason. And they're not as interesting as the other characters. Will's better, though. But I love Freddy vs. Jason. Iconic movie. One of the best movies of 2003, and 2003 had some of the best movies of all time. We had like Freddy vs. Jason, Texas Chainsaw remake, Dreamcatcher, the Matrix sequels, fucking School of Rock, Kangaroo Jack, fucking. I could go on and on and on. Wrong Turn, Final Destination 2. Alright, I'll shut up now. But yeah, no. I love Freddy vs. Jason. I've seen it millions of times. Probably at least 1,000 times. And it never gets old. And I love the characters, but they're not as interesting or fleshed out or quirky or whatever as the other characters. At 64, we have Terry from the second movie, who is probably the least fleshed out of the chicks in that movie. She has the dog Muffin, and that's really all we know, besides that she's trying to avoid this perv Scott. And she has some funny lines, but she's very one note and dispatched very early. But we are still in characters that I love. We're in the upper half of these lists, so everyone from this point on is either like really memorable or really funny or something. So, at number 63, we have Shaq, who is in 2 scenes in Freddy vs. Jason. So, yeah, I don't know, but he's the fat guy with that forces Linderman to chug the beer and then calls Jason a Jethro and lights him on fire. He's there for like a couple scenes, but he's really funny when he's there, and I just like the actor, so that kind of gives him points, I guess, subconsciously. He's in Supernatural. There's a lot of people from Freddy vs. Jason in Supernatural because it's filmed in Canada, but yeah, no, I don't know. But at 62, we have Bill from the first movie, and he's probably the least defined character from the first movie. He played the guitar, he was nice, and he was a love interest for Alice. And so was Steve. And Bill was clearly the one you would want her to end up with. But, you know, there's not as much to his character. His death is awesome. And in the same vein, at 61 is Doug, who is a very nothing character from the fourth movie. But that friend group is very fun to watch and very chill. And his death is, again, awesome. His death is way better, though. I mean, he gets his fucking head crushed in the shower. I love Bill's death, though. I mean, fuck yeah. At 60, we have Sonoran, the guy from Jason X, who built KM14. He's funny. I think it's hilarious that he built a sex robot, and he's adamant that it's not a sex robot, but then he gives her nipples and makes out with her. Really funny stuff. Quirky character, but, you know, Jason X has all them quirky characters, you know. At 59, we have Joey from the 9th movie. And that would be, no one's gonna fucking touch that ray of sunshine. But, like, and that's like 20 minutes after, get the fuck out. This is a restaurant, not a fucking nursery. Just all the fun lines that are contradictory and insane. She's funny as hell. Gotta put her this high. And coming in at 58, which is actually the last placement in the video, we have Junior, who is from the 5th movie. You tell him, Ma! Eat your fucking slop. Like, Junior is fucking hilarious, and I love him. He's so funny. It's so just ridiculous and stupid. I love it. But that's where he's gonna land, and that was the 5th video, the 86 to 58 video. Wow. So like, subscribe, all that bullshit. Until next time, yada yada.